Yeah.
Yeah. I just I'm using the browser because I couldn't use the application, so I hope it works. Yes. Yeah, we have been working on the mode 2. And just to explain what the mode 2 is, mode 2 is a way for the network to where you can actually, in a fixed number of nodes, you can join and rejoin and recover and so on. So this demands a lot of interoperation. Like we have the hash graph, which has to join the running hash graph. So first we have to find out where's the state of the hash graph, and then we have to follow this and actually replicate the same graph in the joining node. And then we, of course, have the database, which you also have to synchronize. So we have to update the database and so on. So there's a lot of things going on before you can join the network. So this is this we have worked on for 5 months now. So yeah, and in the same time, this is actually here we get what's on the schedule. We're calling this graph mirroring. This is actually the hash graph, and then we have this network catch up, and this is where we actually sort of join the network. So we can from a node which is shutting down, come in and join again. And then we have the second path is our TVM, and this is more like where it's TVM stands for Tagion Virtual Machine. So it's for external and also us ourselves. Makes it easier to make modification on the rules and the transaction in the network or the smart contracts. So yeah, that's what is continuously working, and we have right now what we call TVM util. We are sort of having a 0.9, which is just the basic functions, and we expect to be able to integrate this with what we call a Tagion library, and this is actually the application. We have some Tagion functions, like how do we check signatures, how do we actually verify stuff in the database and so on. You need that for verifying when you make your own application, your own smart contract. And this we are also working on right now, and we are actually, if you look at the timeline, we are aiming to make it so that people can run mode 2 in a test, because we would like to have a possibility for people who are interested in running a node, and this would help us to test the mode 2 network, because we would like to have a way to be able to run different scenarios, different versions, not versions, but upgrades, and also different stability stuff and attack vectors and so on. So we are aiming for that. So we hope that we can get somebody to join that and this is coming after. So after summer, we in not end of summer, sort of in August, and we would like people to if they want, they can set up a node and so we can they can participate in the network. Yeah, that's sort of rough what we have. So
yeah, and maybe I should add here that for the Mode 2, initially it was scheduled for June or July, but there's been some slight delays, so we had to postpone it for a month or two. Also just to mention, it says Mode 3 or Mode 4 implementation out here for the next year, 2026. Maybe you can also just briefly elaborate on that.
Yeah, the Mode 3 is when you have if you have a group of nodes that you actually want to from an you want to swap from an mirror node, or what we call it, to an active node, and this means a voting node. And Mode 4 is the subsystem that we are working on, so you can integrate more own rules and so on. So
yeah, and that's where it says Mode 3 or Mode 4, because they are not dependent on each other, and maybe based on client demands, we might need to prioritize development and implementation of Mode 4 before Mode 3. So that's and that's still something that needs to be decided
that
on.
could be yes, that's correct. Yeah, so we could. It depends on what is demand, and also from I think we can say from our customer side what is also the demand there. So yeah.
Exactly, and it looks like both are important, but it looks more and more like we're getting more and more traction on this part, and it looks more and more like we need to have federated subsystems also for production in the near future, like within 1 to 2 years. And why we get delayed, I think the team has done an incredible big job with the resources we have at hand and also all the work. We got 2 unexpected things that hit us, basically. That's how it is to operate stuff and actually do IT. One thing, I don't know if you saw, but many iPhone apps basically broke. When was it? Like in April? In April with an iOS update, because the Apple chose to break some of their, you could say, APIs or user spaces. So many apps basically stopped working overnight because they made some updates that were not compatible with the old API. And that also meant our app didn't work. So there we need to spend time fixing this, releasing new apps and debugging. That was not in the plan. And then I don't know if you saw that Microsoft blocked some accounts on Microsoft, like when the Office 365 with the International Criminal Court, ICC, one of the main prosecutors responsible for especially Israel and war crimes, on orders from Trump, which they have tried to say they did not, but they did. And that's what they have promised all the time, Microsoft and the big tech companies. They wouldn't interfere with politics and data privacy laws in Europe, which they just did. And that combined with increasingly heavy increasing costs using cloud infrastructure like AWS, which we have been using a lot, and that was very costly, which we were not so satisfied with. And secondly, also some of the client dialogues we have now, they're not so pleased with having their data in the US. They ask if we can host it in Europe or in Denmark or in Germany. And we say, yes, of course we can. And that means we agreed to actually move a lot of our production servers as well and clusters. And that was also a big task, which was not on the plan, which has also been done now. The full backend production system, the main tagging system, has not been moved, but it's on our own servers, basically. but we're also planning to move that out when we upgrade the systems to a new hosting provider in Germany. So it's just to say, things happen while we all the time, basically, and everything takes time, basically. So that's how it is, right? Yeah, that's just one of the things I wanted to tell you, which has also happened, which is, I think, was very important for us to do so, and that's also why you experience some downtime of the portal and the app and so forth. But those things should be, all of them should be fixed shortly, because we moved the whole infrastructure.
Yeah. Very good. Are there any questions for this part in relation to the roadmap? If not, I think we will move on to the second topic of today, where we need Leander, and that's for the documentation revision. So, Leander.
But Jonas, could you screen share the documentation pages? Because if we rely on my screen grab, I shouldn't meddle with the system on my side.
No.
So just the main page and documentation purely a few months ago. Jonas, if you scroll down on that screen at the bottom in the footer on the bottom left there, it says archive. So if you click there first, just to say the old documents haven't been deleted, and of course you can't delete the whole trail online. But if you scroll down on that page, you see all the now outdated technical papers, the previous concept papers, and there's also the old tokenomics papers. So there is a paper trail, so to say, of our historical thinking, if people want to follow this. But from this town hall onwards, or from this announcement, we consider all our documentation, all our also engagement for the governance and or the generation of ideas and concepts to be online on this side. So on the top, you have the menu between the tech parts, the governance parts, and the tips. Jonas, if you just click on tech to start with, there is now this new landing page, so to say. Before, the tech documentation was purely geared for developers, so it told you immediately how to actually set up a node and prepare your own environment to run Tagion on your side. Now there's a bit of more general introduction to what you find here, which is pretty much the same as on the governance pages, just geared for the tech documentation. And the next menu item on the left-hand side, where it says, what is Tagion? That is now a new, very brief summary of how we now talk about Tagion and what it is in itself, just with all the basic main items and USPs highlighted, and all these links, of course, then go to the documentation pages that you see here. So the deeper you dig, the more details you'll find, but also the more technical understanding you will need. If you go back to the Gov pages, there's just one more last thing to highlight. Here, again, that's just the introductory page as we just saw on the tech page, just telling you a bit more about governance. And here on the left-hand side, there's now a 101, how Tagion works. And that is also a new summary, kind of replacing all the narrative parts from the conceptual white paper, where we just try to introduce what that whole thing is actually. People who might not have heard about distributed systems or decentralized databases before, what consensus means and all. So here's a non-techie version describing, you can just scroll down to get people an idea of what the text looks like. I'm giving you a bit of terminology and then explaining, without assuming prior knowledge, how that actually works if you use Tagion and what happens under the hood. Again, this is that doesn't presuppose technical knowledge, but all the links will take you down to the documentation pages, where then all the details can be found if that's needed. This page is also important to have there in case there's people who want to engage with us on the governance pages. We talked a lot about that in the previous town halls, particularly now that we move into mode 2 and then also need to model and design and test our simple resistance mechanisms and how you can become a node and how you join the network and how you become a validator. All these things also do require your input and your ideas and your feedback. So these governance pages are the place where we document our thinking and where you then also can feed in. So in case you do that and you don't have technical knowledge beforehand, we also encourage you to read the 101 page first, so we have a common understanding of what we're actually talking about and how all the different elements feed in together to create this. Anything else I should highlight on the documentation review, Jonas? Oh yeah, there's one thing, of course, since we said narrative, of course, all this new now documented way doesn't only supersede the PDFs and bring it all online, but we have also learned, particularly in engaging clients, that there's more or less useful ways of talking about Tagion and explaining it all. And if you read these pages, you will realize that we're taking a slightly different tack now, also not trying to position it anymore in the crypto and blockchain and token space, but really saying this is a much more, this is a system with much broader utility. It's beyond ledgers. We can compare to distributed ledger technologies, but we are actually not considering ourselves a distributed ledger technology only. We can do distributed accounting on Tagion, but much more. And this is what you will find in the new narrative and documentation being online now. And eventually over the summer, this will also manifest itself in new wording on the Tagion homepage, tagion.org, but also on how Descartes describes the possibilities of Tagion to potential clients and industry applications. So you will see that new understanding on the technical side, or the new framing we put on the technical side, merge into a new narrative and a new outward-facing way of talking about Tagion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally we ask if there's questions, and often we don't get any, but we will want to do this now, and otherwise we will actually pick up on a question we had in the general chat here on Discord. But first, to see if anybody has a question to this. Okay, so I'm on my side, and in case we're using my screen recording for documentation, it will show up. But here in the general chat, if you click on that on by yourself on the menu in Discord, there was a question recently from me07, which we just wanted to refer to because it gives a great opportunity to talk about a few things that we just mentioned now, and we will also answer that on Discord in writing, but just to pick it up here. So the question posed to us yesterday was, what you guys want to be? Are you waiting to be fully operational for your big client to use Tagion as a token for their, oh, now there's a video above it, as a token for their transactions, and then go live and trying to get traction with new users? Is that correct? So we just wanted to use this opportunity to answer this in the town hall, also to have the answer out more publicly maybe. As we explained in the tech timeline, there are several stages to us being operational. The mainnet is already operational, but it's not distributed and it's not that decentralized yet. And there's, for people who are not developers, not so much utilities there. So in that sense, yes, we are already trying to get clients on for which we'll build the utility custom to their needs. And that, as we said, might have ramifications for our timeline as well. But to be fully operational for everybody around without Descartes' help, that'll be next year when Mode 2 and then 3 and 4 are implemented. So we're not waiting for anything to go live. We are live, but there are several stages to this, and this is also explained in the tech documentation. That's called modes there, mode 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. And on the governance side of things, and in the process of decentralizing Tagion and really letting more people run nodes, that is also a phased process, which you can read up on the governance pages, that of course relies to the technical capabilities, for example, nodes being able to catch up, and then people coming in and have running new nodes instead of only us doing that or setting that up for people. So the next question in the same posting is, can you not go live because the system isn't strong enough to be implemented by retailers, do transaction or small shops to use the system as a payment system? Sorry if that's too many questions. Thanks, they say. So you might have figured already. So this is how hard to answer in two ways. So on the one hand, it is live, but yes, people can't use it. But his question about why can't people use it already for transactions is also, as we explained earlier, not our sole focus anymore. Of course, eventually, when it's fully distributed and operational, Tagion utility tokens can also be used for payment, and for anybody who then sets up a wallet, they can use it, but that is not quite, well, you could actually basically do this now if you have Tagion, so you run the wallet and you can send that to anybody in payment for goods and services, but we're not advertising that so strongly at the moment because also we're focusing on a much broader, not only financial application of our system. So I hope Me07, if you see the recording, that will help. We'll summarize that in writing as well on the Tagion channel. And this is also just to say, yes, of course, we have the Discord platform to ask all these questions. There was quite a flurry of interactions recently. And of course, for those who are joining right now and are in the town hall, you could also ask questions now and ask us to refine our answers while we're all here.
Yeah, and I think, can you hear me actually, Lana?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's correct what you're saying, and we're not waiting to be fully operational, but it is like a curve. It is becoming easier and easier for less technical or engineering people to use the system, right? And also, as Carsten just explained, we get the TVM utility out and also integrate that as a service into the system. It's actually happening right now, and you can already use the TVM utility now. So if you are rather technical, you could set up your own network and start playing with it for utility and development purposes. And actually we have more cases of those, but of course that require quite a high degree of technical expertise. And it's becoming easier and easier. So no, we are not waiting for everything to be fully finished and done. It will never be fully finished and done. And it's actually already operational and also resilient and stable. So yeah, you could do transactions now, and in reality, we could also go on an exchange if we wanted to. But we said no. Our focus is to get the most utility as possible and broad utility, because it's a distributed database system. It can be used for anything with multi-stakeholder collaboration. But that's also what we're aiming for, because we believe the more utility, the better. And that includes financial use cases.
Yeah, and that is, sorry, Thijs, that is a really good reminder, because that's maybe what Me07 had picked up somewhere, that we were waiting for something for somewhere. And that was maybe us saying we're waiting to actually pursue the exchange listing because we want to have utility with use cases first. It's not that we're waiting on the technical side or that you should be waiting, trying to use it, but we are not doing more marketing or more outreach or more drum rolling or not pursuing the listing until we have actually client cases to support the utility of the token.
Genau. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
And actually, Me07, it could be used as a payment system now if you use Tagion technology for this. Actually, if you wanted to, you could do that actually, but it requires some implementation on the development side and also system engineering, basically. But it could be used for this. That's the short answer.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's more or less it for now then. If you have any questions afterwards, always feel free to post them in the general chat. And otherwise, we will be back at the end of the summer. We will be pausing the town hall sessions for the summer, partly because a big part of our team will be leaving for South America for a business trip. Yeah, but they'll be back August, early September, where then we will do a town hall session again. And of course, we'll log in the date and share with you as we get closer. Yeah, so I think that's it for today, and see you in August or September. Bye, everyone.
See you,
Thanks,
Jonas. Thank you.
Jonas. See you.
Bye bye.